So what was the greatest day of your life? Was it the day you got the perfect job? Was it the day you got married? The day you became a parent or a grandparent? Maybe the day you had a great sporting success. Maybe the day you got to do a TED Talk. Maybe you've not had your greatest day yet. Abraham Lincoln said, it's not the amount of years in your life, it's the amount of life in your years. And so I've been thinking about what makes a great day? What makes a full life? Because as a youth worker for the last 30 years, I look around at the moment and actually life doesn't seem quite there as much as it should be. And one of the things I do in my work is that we take young people away. And a few years ago, we took 45 teenagers away. Now, I know some of you, that might feel like some sort of punishment. But it is what I love doing. It's the way I'm wired. And we take these young people away, and we've been doing it for a couple of decades. And it is the places we see little glimpses of full life days. And so a few years ago, we were away, and we had all these teenagers, and they're having one of those down times. You know, some are sitting playing music, some are listening to music, they're playing games. And I'm sitting in a room against the wall on the floor with a bunch of young people. I remember it really clearly. There's Ben, there's Phoebe and Katie, and we're sitting there chatting, and we decide to play that game, which you may have played. That one where you write the names of famous people on bits of paper and you shove them in a basket, and then you have to pull one out and act it out, and then a second round you have to act it out but just use one word. It's a great game. We've probably all played it. And I realized that two sorts of people play that game. There are the hyper-competitive people. The people that are grabbing it out of the basket and throwing it to the ground. You know who they are. They're probably sitting next to you. The other group of people are the people that are just there to have a good time. They're there to make you laugh. They're the ones that aren't very good at charades. I can tell you, we were in the latter group on this occasion, mainly because of our friend Phoebe and her inability to play this game, understand this game, or know who any famous people were. But as I reflected on this trip, as I prepared, I realized there's one memory that was just above everything else, and it was gut-aching laughter. We laughed a lot. I looked back and thought, this is a full life day. This is a great day. Because I think each one of us is almost within us, we've got a tank of life. It gets filled up by things. But also, because of just the challenges of life, that tank can sometimes get punctured, and life leaks out. And if you don't surround yourself with sort of people and activities and opportunities to fill that tank, the life just gets lower and lower and lower and drains away. So we need to think about, who do we surround ourselves? What do we do to fill that tank? Because as I look at the world of young people and youth work, there are some things I'm reading which are really hard to read. 40% of 16 to 25-year-olds are saying they are lonely. And that is something we normally would associate maybe with a 75-plus age range. But no, the most connected generation ever are saying they are lonely. In a class of 30, 12 young people are saying outwardly they are lonely. There seems to be life missing there. And I spend a lot of time working with youth workers, and actually for us, there's been a 70% drop in youth work provision and funding. And in my sphere, a 52% drop in people choosing to pursue a career of youth work. So it seems like life is missing there too. And then we know mental health is a huge challenge. But I read in this piece of research that in 2021, between April and October, 409,000 kids and young people went to the NHS for a mental health crisis. 409,000. I mean, that is a big number. But from 2 years previously, that is an increase of 77%. That would be like taking the population of planet Earth of just under 8 billion and it's suddenly becoming 14 billion. That would not be sustainable. We'd be jumping up and going, we need to do something about that because it looks like life isn't quite there too. So as a lifelong youth worker, I'm looking at this landscape and going, what can we do? So I thought I'd start looking at the people in the world that seemingly have a full life. This is Hiro Miyagi. Hiro Miyagi is 103 years old. She looks good, doesn't she? Hiro Miyagi lives in a blue zone. I don't know whether you know what blue zones. There are 5 blue zones in the world. One in Okinawa in Japan, where Hiro lives. There's one in Costa Rica, one in Sardinia, one in Greece, and strangely, one in California. But a blue zone is a place where full life happens. So the most centenarians live in a blue zone, and many that live to 110. There is less late life disease in a blue zone, and people remain active well into their 80s and 90s. It seems in blue zones there is full life. So I'm sitting there, I've read a lot about blue zones, I love it, and I'm looking at blue zones and I'm looking at the world of youth work and going, what can I learn from them to almost create a youth work blue zone? And the research, which took a decade into blue zones, has come up with 9 common denominators that are true in all 5 blue zones. So that is great evidence. And there's a bunch of things you might guess. So they sleep better. They have rest and down times. They have a better diet than us. They stop eating when they're 80% full. A challenge I find. But there are 3 other denominators, which are the ones that jump out at me because they speak into the world of young people. And these 3 common denominators are the most powerful. They are the most life-giving of all the 9. The first thing that happens in a blue zone is they prioritize the community. They look to the people to their left and their right. They choose to live, shop, work locally. They try and avoid using their cars. The community is important. If you can imagine, it's like grandparents are like on weekends making pasta and then their grandkids are delivering it round to the village. They're doing their chores with the front door open, so if anyone walks by, they can have a conversation. They're choosing to stop to do that. The community is important, and because of that, there is full life. Community. The second thing they do is they prioritize the tribe. In Okinawa, they call it moais. They are a group of people who say, we're going to do life together. And it could be a group of 4, 5, 6, 7 people, but you socialize together, you have regular meals together, you might share hobbies, you might work together. But you say to one another, I am for you. So when you're having your very best day and great success, everyone gathers around and celebrates with you. They're not jealous, they're not envious, they're not trying to pull you down. And when you're having your hardest day ever, they are there to sit with you and to pick you up. And maybe even carry you for a while. The tribe brings life. The third thing the blue zones have, which has the greatest power of life, is they have something called ikigai. I love the word. You may have heard it. It means why. It means purpose. The best translation I heard is your reason for getting out of bed in the morning. I would argue we all need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. We need a why. And in these blue zones, the people that have found something that brings them life, that they choose to do every day, the evidence is there. Community, tribe, and purpose bring life. So I'm looking at it going, as a lifelong youth worker, I want to learn from this. I want to look at what I'm going to do in this next season and shape it around these 3 things. I want to bring life. And I've been running this charity for 16 years, and I've been chatting to people, listening to people, talking to my team and saying, what are we going to do in this next season to have the greatest impact? And for us, and we've been thinking about it for a year or so, it's come down to one thing. One thing that if we did this, it would make the biggest difference. And that is to build a physical space, a retreat center, a hub, a home, a venue, a place that is a youth work blue zone, that anyone who walks through our door, they will be poured into. They will be part of a community, a tribe. We will help them find their why. Because as a youth worker, often we are isolated. So actually, how great would it be on a Friday, every Friday in this venue, there's a free meal and free Wi-Fi, and you can come and have lunch with a bunch of youth leaders. You've got a big event coming up. You can share ideas. In this collaboration and unity and sort of allyship, there is life. Imagine you're a youth leader that's a bit beaten up. You're a bit burnt out. You can come and be there and have someone pour into you for a while. Imagine you're a young youth worker. You've just thought, I really want to do this because maybe a youth worker impacted you. So you say, where do I go? Where do I start? So you could come to this place and almost sit under these master builders, these youth workers that have been doing it for a season, that could probably tell you all the places they've made mistakes, because we learn more from our mistakes, don't we? But you could learn from them. You could learn from their experiences. You could work with them. That would give you a strength and an experience and a resilience that would mean you would keep going. You would not give up. And then think about our kids and young people. We take away groups right from 7-year-olds up to students. We know they're life-giving spaces, but imagine you can come to a space where you could just pause from the everyday for a moment. You could spend time together. You could laugh together. You could play games. You could end and begin your day together, share meals together, talk about life, the universe, and anything that's on your mind in this safe place. That would be a life-giving space. Abraham Lincoln also said, paint your days with meaning, albeit through seemingly insignificant events. Aim for quality-filled minutes, hours, and days, and they will turn into quality-filled years. I stand here before you because 38 years ago, a youth worker grabbed me from the abyss of my chaotic teenage years. She grabbed me and brought me into a community and helped me see my value. And as I saw my value, I believed my value, and I found my why. And then when I started being a full-time youth worker, there was a guy called Paul and Matt 30 years ago. They came over every 2 weeks and bought me lunch and asked me how I was. And they said, we are part of our tribe. You are with us. We are for you. The reason I'm still in youth work is because of them. Our young people need deep, consistent, real lives, real community, real people investing into them. Maybe it can come about by prioritizing community, tribe, and helping people find their why. A youth work blue zone. Thank you.